right? And this is an activity. Activity in the sense it's an user interaction takes place usually by means of an activity. It's a screen or it's an application at least needed for us to run a single simple applications. We can maintain more than one activities in an application. Say for example, we can move from one screen to another screen. So in that situation, I can maintain two activities. One for representing one screen, another for representing another screen. On tapping or on touching or clicking a particular area, the screen will be disappear or just dissolve and open another screen. That's moving to one screen to another screen, one activity to another activity. That's the things. We will do a simple applications once enter into this. And also we can have a large application contains several activities. Whenever you are having a project, say for example, if you are using WhatsApp, it's a simple application. There we can, on touching a particular area, it opens another screen. Say for example, on a particular contact. So whatever the root directory it is showing, it simply close and open that particular WhatsApp transactions or WhatsApp messages. On that, if you want to click any particular thing, that thing is going to be takes place. One second, Amma. Right. So these things and all these activities are going to be maintained just like a stack of activities. Say for example, think that we are having three activities. So whenever you are moving one activity to another activity, the first activity is going to be pushed into the stack. And if you are, say for example, moving to second activity to third activity, now the second is entering into the stack. Whenever you are just moving back by pressing the back button, so the second picture will come out or pop out from the stack, and also the first picture will come out or pop out from the stack. Just like the functions, whenever you are moving from one function to another function and so on. But here the screens are going to be remembered or maintained by means of stack. Am I clear? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
next one is understand the activities. Please respond. The transition from one activity to another activity accomplished through the use of asynchronous messages, right? So this is not a proper way synchronously moving from one screen to another screen or passing some messages from one screen to another screen asynchronously done by means of intents. So intents are the things which are used to communicate between two activities by sending a messages. That should be done by means of these intents. Intents can be used to pass data from one activity to another activity. Say for example, you are having two screens. The first screen you are asking username and password. On clicking submit button or login button, we are moving to another screen and you are opening the appropriate information. So the intents are meant for to send a message from one screen to another screen. Okay, Nama, are you able to understand what exactly the scenario here is? So usually these activities are defined inside manifest file. Already we come across the first class onwards. What is a manifest file? It is an XML file where you are going to be maintain all activities and all intents, right? So on all permissions, everything will be maintained inside manifest file. The manifest file is a file which will guide the application what to run and how to run, right? And each activity in an Android application is either a subclass of activity class or sometimes a subclass of activity subclasses. So whenever you are working with these activities, we need to extend activity class, which is a predefined class. Sometimes you are writing some applications to inherit the properties from activities. Sometimes you are making that one as a subclass of the activities. It's a superclass or a base class. I'll show you a simple application. So here I would like to demonstrate what is an activity, how activities are going to be created, run, next stop certain few time and resume back again and suspended, or sometimes it may be destroyed or removed from the memory. So all these activities are going to be visualized by means of a simple application. Is it my clear? Is my voice clear? Hello? Is my voice clear?
Clear. Clear, sir.
Yes, sir.
Screen is visible or not?
Visible, sir.
Yes, sir. It's with.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir. Here it is audible, sir.
Audible, Amma? Right. And I'm going to demonstrate a simple application here. Android activity life cycle. So activities, whatever the activities you are supposed to maintain, those are inherit from a set of cycles or from a class, activity class, which we need to inherit into our general application or general class, and we need to define the states or the events of that particular activity, whether it is running or suspended or stopped, just like a process transition diagram which we come across in operating system, whether the process is running or suspended, waiting, whatever the stage is, the same here also the activity, whatever the activity you are supposed to define, whether the activity is running in the sense which is appear on the screen, which is in foreground, which is running right now. అమ్మా ఒక్క సెకండ్ అమ్మా. Right. And one more thing here it is. The activity monitors and reacts to these events by executing a method. We should override. Sometimes we need to override the methods on create methods. So which is already predefined. So in that we need to override that particular method. So there is a slight difference between overload and override methods. Overload methods are the methods which will have the same name but different arguments and different return types. Coming to overriding method, these methods are the same signature, same number of arguments and same return type. So one method which is coming from parent to child and which is override by the local method, child method. So in that scenario, we need to invoke the existing previous method, base class method, parent method. At that time, we use super keyword. Already మీరు జావాలో చదివింటారు. Super is a keyword which is used to invoke a parent method which is overridden by the child method. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So don't forget the super. Super is a keyword. Always refer the parent class. So here we are having certain methods which are override by the methods which are defined by ourselves. We will see all those things. So this is a simple life cycle diagram. Focus on here. Is it visible to you all? It's a very important one. If the question is on your final examination, just draw the picture and you may write whatever the things you want. On seeing each and everything, you may write 3 or 4 pages and add a simple program which is a very simple. You can gain directly 10 out of 10 marks. See here, think that the activity is going to be started. The program or the application is going to be start to execute one activity, the first activity, say for example. So what happened? We need to invoke the method on create method. The method which is going to be invoked automatically whenever an activity is going to be initiated on creation, creating or invoking, this will intent call the on start method. First, the activity has to create. Next, automatically it hand over to the on start method. The on start method is a method which will start for us, right? So this automatically invoke one more method on resume method. So these things done one after one continuously on creating a new activity which will be calls automatically on start, and on start is going to be called on resume method, and the activity is in running stage. Okay, Nama. So these three stages will be done one after one continuously and entering into the running stage. Think that another activity comes in front of the activity. Say for example, one activity is running, one application is showing on the screen, one more picture is going to be, or one more screen is coming in front of the first activity. So the system call the on pause method. So it is suspended, which is running or which is displaying right now activity will be called on pause. It will be sent back to the background, which is invisible now. And the second activity, whatever is coming on the foreground, which will come on to the screen. So the on pause will be called. The current activity, first activity will be called by on pause and suspended. Think that if it is revoked again, the activity comes to the foreground again by calling on resume method. So on resume method or method which will be called only on pause methods or on pause activities are invoked by means of on resume method. So this will be scenario happens here. It comes over here and move here and again coming back to on resume and coming to the live. Okay, Nama.
Yes, sir.
Think that the activity is no longer visible. For example, the activity is not necessary. If it is not no longer visible and which is not necessary to suspend certain period of time, so you are invoking on stop method. This on stop method will be suspended, which will be removed from the memory and suspended certain period of time. And if it is, say for example, revoked again, the activity comes to the foreground again, say for example, which will be moved to the on restart method. That will be intent call on start method. Please remember, if any activity which is stopped certain period of time, that will be re-invoked, I mean revoked back to the foreground again by calling on start method, which in turn call the on start again and which in turn call on resume and comes to the what you can say foreground and show it on the screen. That is the display information. Think that if it is suspended, if it is not come to the foreground or if it is suspended back, other application needs the memory. So that is removed from the memory by invoking. Process is going to be killed by means something happens. So say for example, some other application needs the same. So at the time that particular application or particular activity will be removed from the memory by calling or by using killed process. Process is going to be killed and user navigates back to the activity. Say for example, if you want the same, we need to create again from the scratch. ఓకేనా అమ్మా, ఒకవేళ అవసరం ఉందంటే అది ఆన్ స్టార్ట్లోకి వెళ్ళేసి రీస్టార్ట్లోకి వెళ్ళేసి స్టార్ట్లోకి వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. మెమరీ దేనికైనా అవసరం పడితే అది కంప్లీట్గా రిమూవ్ అయిపోతుంది మెమరీలోంచి. అలాంటి యాక్టివిటీస్ ఏమన్నా మళ్ళీ కావాలన్నప్పుడు వీ నీడ్ టు కాల్ ఆన్ క్రియేట్ అగైన్. వీ నీడ్ టు క్రియేట్ దట్ యాక్టివిటీ విచ్ ఈస్ స్టాప్డ్ అండ్ రిమూవ్డ్ ఫ్రమ్ ద మెమరీ. వీ నీడ్ టు క్రియేట్ అగైన్ అండ్ గో ఫర్ ద ఆన్ స్టార్ట్ ఆన్ రెజ్యూమే అగైన్ అండ్ కమ్ టు ద foreground. Think that if anything which is not necessary for us, simply we need to remove from the memory. We call the method on destroy method, which will be destroyed from the memory and the activity is shut down and simply ends to the end of the application. So this is a simple diagram which will resume, which will resembles or which will use the status of stages of the activities, and all these are the existing methods: on create, on start, on resume, on pause, on stop, on destroy, on restart. All these are the existing methods which are defined inside activity class. We need to override those methods with our own definitions, right? I'll show you a simple example for this, and please go through these simple definitions, what exactly on create will do, and on start will do, and on resume will do, on pause, on stop, on destroy, and all. So these are the simple information. Just go through all those, and I'll show you a simple application for this. Is my voice clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Just focus
Yes,
here.
sir.
It's a simple application. I took here a simple application. So this is Android Studio, not an Eclipse. Go for File, choose New Project. So here, whether you want no activity, so it's a meaningless. Take a basic activity. Based on that, at least the system will maintain two activities in this base activity if you choose, but try to choose empty activity. Okay, Namma. So I don't want to do anything. I am having only one screen, one activity is enough for me. So I just choose empty activity and click next. So here it is asking the name of the application, and the package name will be automatically updated. Say for example, here I mentioned life cycle, activity life cycle. కనబడుతుందా ఇది?
అంటే మెయిల్ ఉంటుంది కదా ఫార్వర్డ్ అంటే పంపించండి ఏమన్నా అప్డేషన్స్ ఉంటే చెప్పండి నేను చేస్తా అంటే నేను చూసి నేను నీతో మాట్లాడుతుంటాను
సార్ విజయ్ సార్, క్లాస్ అయిపోకూడదు సార్, నేను రెండో క్లాస్లన్నా ఆపుతా కానీ. హలో, బీయింగ్ ఆన్.
Sir, yes.
మా వాయిస్ వినబడుతుందా?
Yes, sir. It's on.
Actually, power is not available right now. Maybe voice may be flicker or break. Screen visible? Is screen visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So here we need to mention the project name. The system will make that one as a package name. So this is application name. We need to mention that becomes the project name even, and the system add that one to the com.example and followed by the activity lifecycle or whatever the name you are supposed to mention, that will be added as a package name. So package in the sense already I said in the beginning onwards, the package in the sense whatever the relevant classes are or relevant application needed supported files, everything will be keep inside one folder. That's we can call it as a package. So what exactly this activity lifecycle needs? All related information will be maintained in one file, one folder, that is a package. And where it is going to be saved, the second information, and what type of language you are supposed to choose for this. Here preferably use Java, right? And maintain minimum SDK. So 4.1 Jelly Bean is a minimum SDK of API 16, and I am just proceeding the same. So once it is done, we'll get like this. So this is an application. It shows all the information. Like this. So having only a simple information, a simple screen
Sir, your voice is not clear, sir.
that is hello world appear on the screen.
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir. It's not clear.
But now okay. Hello.
Yes, sir. Now it's clear,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yeah. So bad network is causing poor quality. Okay, no problem. Right. So this application, once it is done, will get nothing. I added nothing for the frames for the activity. I just show it as it is on the screen. So we can find all this information here, and the Java files will be there inside. One second, this is grid user. Right. So nothing there in this, only hello world will be there in this. If you want, you can keep it is, or else you may remove this. Only one activity with hello world. By default, information will be available in this. This is available inside Java folder. Inside Java folder, you can find com.example activity lifecycle, a package folder. Inside package folder, you can find main activity. Right? కనబడుతుందమ్మా screen? Hello. My screen visible to you or not? Hello.
It's visible, sir.
Yeah, అమ్మ మీరు
Visible,
రెస్పాండ్
sir.
కాండి లేకుంటే నెట్వర్క్ ఇష్యూస్ ఉన్నాయి ప్రాబ్లం అవుతుంది. See here, come to the Java file. So here I am going to be shown all the activity information on the screen. The first is by default the program will have main activity. By default the activity name is main activity. Extends app compact activity, or you may mention directly the activity name extends activity. One second. So instead of app compact activity, I can make this one as just activity. So extends my activity. My activity is our own class that is extending from activity class. So now activity is a base class or a super class which is inheriting all the properties to main activity, our own activity or our own class file. Just like the keyword extends as same as Java. So inside we can find certain functions. By default function is on create. So whenever you have an activity, that activity will have one method, that is on create method. Don't confuse. We will discuss again in depth of what exactly there inside on create. On create will take one reference of bundle. Bundle is the one class. This reference needed for this on create. That the name is whatever the name you mentioned. Here I mentioned saved instance state. The same information is handed over to the on create again. Don't confuse here. On create is the create method which is defined inside activity, but this on create which is defined inside main activity. Main activity లో కూడా on create ఉంటుంది. Activity అనే బేస్ క్లాస్ లో కూడా on create మెథడ్ ఉంటుంది. సో ఈ బేస్ క్లాస్ లో ఉన్న యాక్టివిటీలో ఉన్న on create మెథడ్ ఎలా కాల్ చేస్తాం? That method is override with the on create method. So you need to invoke that method by using super dot on create. But don't confuse, super dot is the super is which will refer the base class. Why? Because here inheritance is happening. Activity is the base class and main activity is a subclass. Activity is the parent, main activity is the child. The parent information inside parent activity, there we can have on create method. That method is overriding here with main activity on create method. Main activity lo on create method తో యాక్టివిటీలో ఉన్న ఆన్ క్రియేట్ మెథడ్ ఓవర్ రైడ్ అయిపోతుంది అది. యూ వాంట్ ఇన్వోక్ దట్ parent on create method, use super dot on create. Don't forget the super class always refer to the base class method. Super dot on create means we are invoking the base class activity class on create method. It also needs the same saved instance state of bundle class. You hand over the same. Now you are invoking. So by default the system will invoke on create method of main activity, but you are calling on create method of the activity class. So what happened in this scenario? You are asking to run on create method which is there inside parent class, that is existing class, right? ఇక్కడ మెయిన్ యాక్టివిటీ అనేది ఇక్కడ మహేష్ అని కూడా రాసుకోవచ్చమ్మా. యూ కెన్ రైట్ అవర్ ఓన్ నేమ్ హియర్ యాజ్ అ క్లాస్ నేమ్, బట్ యాక్టివిటీ ఈజ్ అన్ ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ క్లాస్, రైట్? యు ఆర్ ఇన్వోకింగ్ ద ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ మెథడ్ విచ్ ఈస్ దేర్ ఇన్సైడ్ యాక్టివిటీ బై కాలింగ్ సూపర్. సో అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, యాక్టివిటీ అనేది క్రియేట్ అవుతుంది. ఆన్ క్రియేట్ మెథడ్ విల్ క్రియేట్ ఎ న్యూ యాక్టివిటీ. నెక్స్ట్ మెథడ్ ఈజ్ సెట్ కంటెంట్ వ్యూ. The set content view is a method which is used to visualize what exactly there inside an XML file activity underscore main by means of r dot layout, right? So this method will simply visualize the screen which is defined by means of an XML file in the form of activity underscore main that will be there inside layout folder. Those are referred by R. So R is a class, Java class, which will have all the resources are going to be referred by means of R. R dot layout, R dot ID, R dot and so on. So we are visualizing that particular thing by means of R dot layout dot activity underscore main as an XML file. So we are just visualizing that XML file by means of set content view method. Okay, Namma. So these things happen. So in the work game, the program will visualize hello world on the screen. ఇప్పుడు ఉంది ఎగ్జామ్ మీకు అమ్మ, మీరు ఇంత లేట్ అవర్స్లో సెటిల్ అమ్మా. అమ్మా 1 సెకండ్. Any doubt in this? Any doubt in this? So ఇంతవరకు మనకి హెల్లో వరల్డ్ కనబడుతుంది. నేను వాటితో పాటు ఐ వుడ్ లైక్ టు షో సమ్ సింపుల్ మెసేజ్, సింపుల్ షార్ట్ మెసేజ్ ఆన్ ద స్క్రీన్ బై మీన్స్ ఆఫ్ టోస్ట్. అమ్మ టోస్ట్ గురించి నేను మళ్ళీ ఇంకొక చిన్న ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్తాను. టోస్ట్ అనేది సింపుల్ మెసేజ్. మనం ఒక ఫైల్ని డిలీట్ చేసిన, ఒక ఫైల్ మనకు వచ్చిన ఒక సర్టన్ టైం మనకి బాటంలో కనబడి మళ్ళీ వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. అది ఇట్ విల్ బి షోన్ సర్టన్ ఫ్యూ సెకండ్స్ అండ్ disappear. Such things you can generate by means of a toast. So toast will have like this, toast followed by make test and get application context. So in the current application context, you are going to be shown some message on the screen. So నాకు ఈ మెసేజ్ కనబడలేదు, the on create event అనేది. అది ఎంతసేపు అంటే length dot short. It shows a few seconds on the screen. I'll show you a simple here. ఇక్కడ కనబడుతుందమ్మా ఆన్ పాజ్ ఆన్ స్టాప్ అని.
Yes, sir.
ప్లీజ్ నోటీస్ ఆన్ స్టార్ట్, ఆన్ రెజ్యూమ్ అని వచ్చిందా ఇక్కడ కింద బాటంలో? హ్యావ్ యూ నోటీస్డ్ ఆర్ నాట్? ఈ ఏరియాలో ఒక చిన్న స్క్రీన్లో ఇక్కడ మనకు కనపడుతుంది కొంచెం స్క్రీన్. నౌ ఇట్ ఈస్ విజిబుల్. ఐ జస్ట్ మినిమైజ్ ఇక్కడ కనబడుతుంది ఆన్ పాస్, ఆన్ స్టాప్, రైట్. సో వెన్ ఎవర్ ఐ రెజ్యూమ్ అగైన్ బ్యాక్, ఆన్ రీస్టార్ట్, ఆన్ స్టార్ట్, ఆన్ రెజ్యూమ్ కనబడుతున్నాయి ఇక్కడ. హలో అమ్మా కనబడుతుందా?
Yes.
ఆర్ ఎల్స్ ఐ విల్ సెండ్ ద అప్లికేషన్ టు యూ యాజ్ ఏ ఏపీకే ఫైల్, యూ ఇన్స్టాల్ అండ్ సీ, రైట్. సో అలాంటి మెసేజ్ని జనరేట్ చేయాలన్నప్పుడు వీ యూజ్ ద టోస్ట్. దీని గురించి మళ్ళీ మాట్లాడుకుందాం. టోస్ట్ ఈజ్ అ క్లాస్ విచ్ విల్ జనరేట్ ఎ సింపుల్ టెక్స్ట్ ఆన్ ద స్క్రీన్ సర్టన్ పీరియడ్ ఆఫ్ టైం, రైట్. సో ఎప్పుడైతే ఆన్ క్రియేట్లోకి ఎంటర్ అవుతుందో, ఎప్పుడైతే ఒక యాక్టివిటీ క్రియేట్ అవుతుందో, అట్ ద టైమ్ ఐ కెన్ సే ద సింపుల్ మెసేజ్ యాజ్ ఎ టోస్ట్, the on create event, like that it will be appear on the screen, right. So immediately next time అవుతుంది, the system will call on start method, right. ఆటోమేటిక్గా దీన్ని కాల్ చేస్తుంది. అమ్మా వాయిస్ వినపడుతుందమ్మా?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
హలో కొంచెం రెస్పాండ్ కాండి, హియర్ థింగ్. సో ఫర్ ఆన్ స్టార్ట్ ఐ కెన్ ఇన్వోక్ on super dot on start method. So creation అయిపోయినాక system will invoke automatically the, we need to visualize that one. So I just mentioned the toast message, the on start is event, will invoke on resume. So here I mentioned super dot on resume. So whatever that, immediately I am invoking the overridden method which is there inside activity class, super dot on resume, right. Think that if something happened, something suspended, say for example, so on pause will come into the picture. So I invoke super dot on pause and show it on the screen, on pause event. For example, if it is suspended certain period of time, so no longer is visible, at the time I can call on stop, right. So at the time I can invoke super dot on stop and invoking appropriate toast message on the screen, and the stop on stop event is invoked like that. Whenever you destroy a particular thing, so we are invoking the destroy by invoking super dot on destroy method, right. యాక్చువల్లీ ఇది మనకు కనబడదమ్మా, డెస్ట్రాయ్ అనేది డిలీట్ చేసినప్పుడు కొన్నిసార్లు కనబడుతుంది, కొన్నిసార్లు మనకు కనబడదు ఈ మెసేజ్. వెన్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ రీస్టార్టెడ్ అగైన్, ఆన్ రీస్టార్ట్, సో అట్ ద టైమ్ ఆన్ రీస్టార్ట్ ఈవెంట్ ఈజ్ ఇన్వోక్డ్. ఓకేనమ్మా, దీస్ ఆర్ ద మెథడ్స్ విచ్ విల్ రిజెంబుల్. Only thing is I just invoke for each and every method on start, on stop, on restart, on destroy. So needs our own definition and the superclass information which is going to be called by means of super dot on stop, super dot on destroy. The very simple statements, all this, which will give you all the states of an activity. Okay, save the application and run again. Now see the emulator. Is it visible to you all? Now application started. We will get on create, on start, and immediately on resume. Now it is waiting. Now the application is visible. I mean this activity is running and only one screen is visible, that is hello world is appear on the screen. For example, I can minimize. ఈ బటన్ తెలుసు కదమ్మా మొబైల్లో, you want to come to the home బటన్ కదా ఇది. హలో హలో, ఎనీవన్ రెస్పాండ్ ఫర్
Yes, sir.
దిస్?
Yes.
మొబైల్లో హోమ్ బటన్ ఏం చేస్తుంది? అది మొత్తం స్క్రీన్స్ అన్నిటిని, రన్నింగ్ స్క్రీన్స్ అన్నిటిని మినిమైజ్ చేసేస్తుంది అది, రైట్. సో ఐ విల్ జస్ట్ క్లిక్ ద హోమ్ బటన్. సో ఆన్ పాజ్ సస్పెండ్ అవుతుంది, ఆన్ స్టాప్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అయిపోతుంది. ఎందుకంటే ఆ స్క్రీన్ని మినిమైజ్ చేసేసినాం, వీఆర్ షోయింగ్ అనదర్ స్క్రీన్. ఓకేనా అమ్మా? ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఐ వాంట్ గెట్ ఇట్ బ్యాక్ అగైన్. సో ఇక్కడ ఆల్ టాస్క్లు చూడండి, సో మనకున్న టాస్క్స్ అన్నీ చూపిస్తుంది ఇక్కడ ఏవేవి రన్నింగ్లు ఉన్నాయి అన్నీ. సో దీస్ ఆల్ ఆర్ రన్నింగ్ రైట్ నౌ. సో ఐ వాంట్ టు షో life cycle. So this one is a life cycle. Click on that. On restart again. On start. On resume. Now it is running. Okay, Namma.
Okay, sir.
Right? For example, I want to suspend this. Then ఎలా తీసేయాలి? I can just remove this. So I removed from the memory. మనకి యాక్చువల్గా అయితే చూపించాలి, అది డెస్ట్రాయ్ అయినప్పుడు కొన్నిసార్లు చూపించదు. Now clear all the activities from the memory. Now the home screen is available. Okay, Namam. So like this we can see, we can visualize all the states. It's a very simple application and it's a very important, and based on that we can visualize all the things. I can send the same to you. You please run in your mobile and see how it is. I'll send 2 APK files to you through WhatsApp. One is greet user. So based on the time it has to say good morning, good afternoon and so on. And the second one is activity lifecycle. You please install in your mobile and run the application and see the states. Okay, Nama, any doubt in this? And please go through this. And already we come across Android manifest file where you can find all this. And we can have 2 types of services. One is the background, another one is the foreground. When any service which is running in front of or visualizing, which will give you the interaction between the users, that comes under foreground activities, which is active. And some activities will run background, which never need any user interaction, right? The best example is, say for example, you are playing one song, so it never needs any interaction, it simply plays background continuously. Or whenever you are invoking any GPS tracking in your mobile and just you are driving continuously, the system will do other activities, but background, the service is GPS tracking is takes place continuously, right? So these 2 services required for this particular mobile applications. And this is Android manifest file. Even you can find this Android manifest file here itself. Double click, it shows Android manifest file. So very simple application, even though the system will write all the rules and regulations about this particular file. So first one is Android. So what are the themes of this particular Android are going to be defined with this statement, Android manifest file. The first line says the XML namespace and themes. And the next one is a package. The package will give you where exactly the file is located, the folder is located. It is there inside com.example.activity lifecycle. So that information will be maintained in the form of a package, one attribute, which is there inside manifest. My one tags gurtunaya miki. These are the tags started here and ended here. In between we can have some more sub tags. The next tag is application. So ended here. So in between we can have some attributes. The first one is like icon. So what are the icon you are supposed to show on the screen? I'll show you the screen again. Say for example, so like this icon. Is it visible, the icon? So we can create our own icons. That icon information is going to be referred or maintained by means of Android icon, one attribute, and label, what is the label name of the particular application, and so on, themes and all. The next one is activity. So what exactly the activity which is running? The activity is main activity preceded with dot symbol. That is the main activity is activity which is the current activity of the application, activity life cycle. So preceded with the dot symbol and followed by the activity name. this activity will have one intent. So we need to mention intents. All intents will be in the form of subfolders of activity, subtags of activity in the form of intent filters. So here we need to mention the Android name, action name, and category name. So action is we need to run the application that is in the form of main inside the launcher. అమ్మ ఇవి రిపీటెడ్గా రాస్తూ వెళ్దామమ్మా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. సో దిస్ యాక్టివిటీ విల్ హ్యావ్ వన్ ఇంటెంట్. దట్ ఇంటెంట్, so intent is meant for transferring data from one activity to another activity, but here we are having only one activity. That activity will show the information of one. So the action is visualize android.intent.action.main. The main activity information is going to be visualized inside a launcher or an emulator that shows here, and this scenario will be defined inside manifest file. So if you want to add any permissions, we can add here. If you want to say for example any content things you want to add, you can maintain here itself. So all the things will be maintained, will be defined inside manifest file. Based on that, the application or the activity will run, right? ఇవన్నీ ఒకసారి చూడండి ఇవి. అండ్ వర్షన్ కోడ్ ఇక్కడ కొన్ని లేవమ్మా, మనం అన్నీ యాడ్ చేసినాం. సో లైక్ దిస్, even version code and version name also added sometimes. The version code is a code which is represented to define current application version, what version you are supposed to use, and the version name attribute is specify the number, version number. So usually you are representing one and the version name, the version along with the value 1.0 and so on. So based on what you are supposed to choose in the beginning, like mentioning the version code, version name, and minimum SDK required for this, and target SDK required for this. So minimum SDK means, say for example 16. So minimum 16 SDK is required to run this particular application, and target SDK is same here I mentioned. So sometimes you are representing minimum SDK is 4 and target is 16. So in between we can have these applications. This application will run. The minimum required is 4 SDK, and above up to 16 is valid for this, and so on. And sometimes you are giving some permissions like this. I'll show you intent filters and all. Say for example, if you want to give any camera permissions, right? So for that name, you mention the permissions as uses -permission and mention the name android.permission.camera. So now the system or that particular application will use the existing camera. If you are not supposed to mention this, the application never use the existing cameras. So on installing that particular applications or particular app in your mobile, the system will ask the camera permission, sometimes internet permission, sometimes your contact permissions and all. So all those things will be added inside manifest file by means of a tag uses-permission. Say for example, if you want to provide internet, we need to use the same uses permission and mention internet, mention camera, and so on. So based on that, you are providing permissions to the application in order to make use internet, in order to make use camera, and so on. If you are denying these permissions, these statements will not added in manifest file. If it is not available in manifest file, the application never use internet or camera or contact information or mobile pictures and all. So the usual practice is whenever you are installing any new application or new app, that app needs any permission that will be took the accept from the user by showing whether you want to allow make use of internet, whether you want allow make use of camera, and so on. If you say yes, the permissions will be added in manifest file. Please remember this, and we will work with some applications needs camera and internet and all. And we can enable those things by means of editor. So editors kuda manaku untayi ikkada manifest lo. So we can edit by means of one editors and all. So it looks like this editor, and where we can enter the version code, version name, and whatever there you are representing by means of text, the same you can enter by means of graphical. We can call it as a manifest editor, right? So these are the simple information. The only thing is we require what are the activities there inside application and how you are going to be enable all those by means of existing methods. ఎప్పుడు ఉంది ఎగ్జామ్ మీకు? ఇక్కడ మెన్షన్ డేట్, ఏదో డేట్ రాయండి. డేట్ రాసి ఇవ్వండి, నేను హాల్ టికెట్ ఇచ్చేసుకున్నాను.
అందరితోటి మాట్లాడినాను సార్, లాక్డౌన్ టైం కదా కట్టలేకపోతున్నాను, మనీ లేదు అంటే అడిగినా.
ఏదో డేట్ రాయించుకొని పంపించేసి అమ్మా. ఐ విల్ సెండ్ appropriate APK file to you. Please install in your mobile and run for us. Okay, ma. Take care. If you have any issues, you may please send through WhatsApp message.